Hello and welcome to the Coast Guard Festival Parade of Ships. I will be your host for this afternoon. My name is Stephen Bonner at WZZM 13 on your side, and we're going to be going over a little bit of everything about the Parade of Ships here today. First one coming in a little bit here is the USCGC Bristol Bay, U.S. Coast Guard cutter Bristol Bay. That'll be arriving here in the channel just a little bit. I think you might be able to see it off in the distance a little bit. We are set up right here on the channel. And then we got also some other shots for you available throughout this parade of ships. We actually have cameras on the bridge of the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw. That'll be the anchor ship in this parade that'll be arriving last. There's a total of 3 ships today. Let's take a look back at the channel right now. You can see off in the distance there. That's the Bristol Bay rolling on in. It is a Bay class ice-breaking tug. There's 9 of these ships in service on the Great Lakes. It's 140 feet long. I think it's 38 feet wide, about 37.5 feet. You'll see it coming right in there off in the distance right now. Get a little bit of a focus on there. There we go. It is the first ship of the Parade of Ships here at the 99th Coast Guard Festival in Grand Haven. You can see a massive American flag hoisted above it. The Coast Guard Festival is run by a little bit of history here. Unofficially began in 1924 as a Coast Guard personnel picnic, and that included some rowing competitions, and that lasted for about a decade or so. And then the actual kickoff to the Coast Guard Festival was in 1937, the official first festival. Today, over 350,000 people come from all over the country to the U.S. Coast Guard Festival here in Grand Haven. As I said before, you can see way off in the distance there, that is the Bristol Bay coming in to the channel right now. That ship runs on 2 diesel engines, displaces about 662 tons. Let's take a look at it right now from the bridge of the Mackinaw. As you can see, it's shooting off 2 huge geysers of water out into the lake there as it enters into the channel with its massive American flag. It was built in 1978 by the Tacoma Boat Building Company, commissioned in Detroit in 1979. These ice-breaking tugs, there's, like I said before, 9 of them in service right now. They were all commissioned between 1979 and 1988. Beautiful shot there from the bridge of the Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw, the largest Coast Guard cutter on the Great Lakes. We'll see a shot of that coming in last into the channel. They're taking turns, the 3 ships. Get another look at it here from on shore. Still quite off in the distance, but it's going to parade all the way down the channel. You can see onlookers on both sides there, lining up, getting ready for this parade of ships. Bristol Bay, home port of Detroit, Michigan. Primary responsibilities for this ship are opening and maintaining icebound shipping lanes in the Great Lakes. It also performs missions such as search and rescue, marine environment protection, law enforcement, and port security and safety. Let's get another look at it here from the bridge of the Mackinaw, a little bit more clear of a shot. As it rolls in, you can see all of the onlookers. People have their boats anchored, watching this parade of ships. People on both sides of the channel there. Beautiful day. Beautiful day for the parade of ships. It's a good outlook for the rest of the week, too, for the rest of the Coast Guard Festival. High of 81 today, mild winds. Tonight's going to be a clear night, low of 58. But perfect weather for the Coast Guard Festival here in Grand Haven. 99th Coast Guard Festival. Yeah, you have good weather all week. Tuesday, 82, mostly sunny. Wednesday, mostly sunny and warm at 85. Thursday, partly cloudy, some scattered showers and storms possible. High at 87 though, another beautiful day. Friday as well, high at 88, and Saturday, high of 82. Just beautiful weather all week long for this parade of ships and the Coast Guard Festival. The Bristol Bay I mentioned, you can see it off in the distance there, the huge American flag. One of its main duties is to break up the ice, and they use a very interesting method to do so. The icebreaker uses a low pressure air hull lubrication or bubbler system, that forces air and water between the hull and the ice, breaking it up. This improves the ice breaking capabilities and reduces the amount of stress on the hull and reducing the amount of power required to get through the thick ice as well. She's been serving on the Great Lakes since 1979, home port of Detroit. It is the first of several ships. Let's get a look here. Oh, and there goes a Coast Guard helicopter flying by, leading the charge of the parade of ships. A nice shot of that. We are shooting here from the VFW in Grand Haven. They were nice enough to let us set up our camera there so we can get a shot of these ships as they come in. I think you can see behind the Bristol Bay, coming in second, is the Katmai Bay. U.S. Coast Guard cutter is also a Bay-class ice-breaking tug. That'll be following up the Bristol Bay here. And like I said before, we have a cameraman live on the bridge of the Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw. That ship has a storied history. I will get to that here in a little bit. All right, let's take another look at the channel here as these ships get closer and closer and parade on through. The Coast Guard Festival here in Grand Haven is committed to honoring men and women of the United States Coast Guard. They host a nationally recognized festival and honors these men and women who serve in the Coast Guard. This is one of the favorite events by residents and festival goers, the parade of ships. All of the ships that are parading in here today will be available to be toured for free. Tonight, the ship tours will last from 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock at night. Same times tomorrow as well, on Tuesday, 6 to 8 p.m. Then the rest of the week, Wednesday through Sunday, the ships will be on tour from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. All the ships will be docked here in Grand Haven, available for tours. Tours are completely free. Also, lots of other events going on at the Coast Guard Festival. Tonight and every night this week, concerts in the amphitheater, right overlooking the channel. Bristol Bay getting real close to our cameras now. You can almost get a clear shot of that as it comes down the channel, leading the parade of ships. But like I was saying, tonight the concert is the Caverners. It's a tribute to the Beatles. That starts at 7:30, along with all the other concerts this week. All start at 7:30. Tickets $15. You can check that out. I actually went to the concert on Saturday, the Woodstock Tribute one. It was a lot of fun. Went there with the family. Beautiful setup overlooking the Coast Guard City, USA sign. Highly recommend coming to check out those concerts. As you can see, there's a helicopter again flying in. Looks like it's doing some laps around the channel as part of the parade of ships. So the first real close look we're getting at the Coast Guard cutter Bristol Bay. She is the first Bay-class tug to actually receive a barge specially designed to perform aids to navigation work. This 120-foot-long barge works with the ship to service more than 160 aids to navigation each year. Look at some of the people watching here on the channel. We have another shot over Snug Harbor. You can see the helicopter flying by, ship off in the distance. We also have our camera on the deck of the Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw. If we look back, we can see all the people gathered around the channel to watch these Coast Guard cutters roll on in. A little bit of tree cover, hard to see the Bristol Bay right now, but it's just right there in the middle of the channel. You can see the Katmai in the background, as well as the Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw behind it, the largest ship in the Great Lakes Fleet. These Katmai and Bristol Bay are both the Bay-class iceberg tugs. Primary job for them is breaking up ice, but they also do other duties as well. They do homeland security patrols, lighthouse projects, law enforcement, public affairs. These ships and their crew kind of do it all. You can see that huge water cannon off one of the smaller Coast Guard ships leading the way. Right behind it will be the Bristol Bay here in just a minute. Grand Haven, the first of the Coast Guard cities recognized by the United States Congress. That was designated back in 1998. These cities are designated because of their special efforts to acknowledge the professional work of the Coast Guard men and women assigned to their area. It's quite the honor that Grand Haven was designated to be the first Coast Guard city. There's a total of 29. Other Michigan city was also named Coast Guard City. That would be Traverse City in 2010. And here we go. Here is our first close-up of the Bristol Bay. Passing by the VFW. Huge American flag hoisted from a crane you can see there on deck. 140 feet long, Bristol Bay. It's a Bay-class ice-breaking tug. Home port of Michigan. Get another shot here. This is from all the onlookers here. Beautiful day for the parade of ships. Nice breeze, you can see by the flags. 80-degree weather, a lot of onlookers waving. It's been in service for over 40 years. Runs on 2 diesel engines, displaces 662 tons. It's a big boat, big ship. Over 350,000 people are estimated every year to come out to the Coast Guard Festival over the 10-day run. Kicked off on Friday. The ships are arriving here today. They will be available to tour all week long, Monday and Tuesday from 6 until 8 o'clock at night, Wednesday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. or to 8 p.m. Sorry, and the tours are completely free. You can see the Bristol Bay passing through the channel right now. Another shot here from our snug harbor cam. You can see it off in the distance a little bit. Got some boats anchoring on both sides of the channel, waiting to get their close-up look at the Bristol Bay as it passes by. Once again, a little bit of history about the Coast Guard Festival. The first unofficial festival was held in 1924. It was actually a Coast Guard personnel-only picnic, and they also held rowing competitions for the service members stationed in Grand Haven. Today, like I said before, 350,000 people come out to this nationally recognized festival. Coast Guard City, USA. Focus of the annual Grand Haven Coast Guard Festival is the National Coast Guard Memorial Service, honoring those who sacrificed their lives in the service of their country while fulfilling their motto, Semper Paratus, which means always ready. First official festival kicked off 1937, and then Grand Haven was honored by its designation as Coast Guard City, USA by an act of Congress and signed by the President of the United States on November 13th, 1998. There it is, the Bristol Bay. Lead ship in the parade of ships. It is getting close here to docking along the pier a little bit. Behind it, we can see off in the distance the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Katmai Bay. This is also a Bay-class ice-breaking tug. You can see it right here entering into the channel. As with the Bristol Bay, this is one of 9 of these Bay-class ice-breaking tugs that serve on the Great Lakes. 140 feet long, 37.5 feet wide, displacing 662 tons, powered by 2 huge diesel engines. All of these ice-breaking tugs were commissioned between the years of 1979 and 1988. The Katmai Bay was launched on April 8, 1978, commissioned on January 8, 1979, and its home port is Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. This ship's primary duties include icebreaking, homeland security patrols, lighthouse projects, law enforcement, and public affairs. It serves through the entire Great Lakes system. And the Katmai Bay has been awarded 2 Coast Guard Commendation Medals and 4 Coast Guard Meritorious Unit Commendation Medals for icebreaking and rescue efforts. Taking a look over back again at the Bristol Bay as it is getting real close to docking here. Like I said before, all of these ships will be available to tour. You can find a complete list of events and all the information about the tours on our website, 13onyourside.com. Or you can also head over to the festival's website, coastguardfest.org. Nice shot of the Bristol Bay there. Lots of stuff going on, talking about those events. Tomorrow, the carnival opens at the Coast Guard Festival. That will last through the weekend. Also, every single night, all week long, we have concerts at the amphitheater overlooking the musical fountain. Tonight, the Cavaliers is a Beatle Tributes band will be playing. Our very own Joshua Albertus will be hosting that show. You can check it out tonight at 7:30. Tomorrow night, we have a Country Legends tribute. You can hear music from Garth Brooks, Keith Urban, and Shania Twain. That's hosted by Samantha Jacks. Also starts 7:30 tomorrow night. On to Wednesday, Trilogy Classic Live. It's music from Styx, Journey, Foreigner. That'll be hosted by our very own 13 on Your Side, Charlie Tinker and Michael Behrens. Also starting at 7:30. Thursday night, we have Sunset Boulevard, an 80s cover band, hosted by Nate Belt, reporter here at 13 on Your Side. We'll see the Katmai Bay here in just a second as it passes by those trees. If we look at our snug harbor cam here, you can see Bristol Bay with the big American flag docked along the pier there, and then off in the distance behind it, in the center of the channel, the Katmai Bay. And then the largest ship in the Great Lakes fleet will be entering last into the channel. That is the Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw. You can see the bridge here. Listen in a little bit as they give some orders as they're entering into the channel. This is the 99th Coast Guard Festival. The festival focuses on honoring the men and women who serve the United States Coast Guard, as well as recognizing the National Coast Guard Memorial Service and honoring those who have sacrificed their lives in service for their country. Take a look right now on the bridge of the Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw as she enters into the channel. She's the largest icebreaker on the Great Lakes. There's a look at the edge of the pier as we roll in. You can see from our snug harbor cam, she's way off in the distance. If we look back, you can see all the people greeting the Mackinaw as she rolls in to the channel. Now we have a close-up look of the Coast Guard cutter Katmai Bay. This Bay-class ice-breaking tug is 140 feet long, 37.5 feet wide. 9 of these ships in service. Katmai Bay was launched on April 8, 1978 and commissioned on January 8, 1979, home port of Sault Ste. Marie. She's been awarded some commendations. She's had 2 Coast Guard Unit Commendation Medals and 4 Coast Guard Meritorious Unit Commendation Medals for ice breaking and rescue efforts. People lined up on both sides of the channel welcoming her. All these ships are available to tour for free tonight and tomorrow, 6 to 8. And the rest of the week, you can check them out between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. They're going to be docked right here in Grand Haven. Take another look at the bridge of the Mackinaw as she's just getting past the pier, heading in the channel. You can see all the other boats docked, watching this parade of ships for the 99th annual Coast Guard Festival in Grand Haven. Here comes the Katmai Bay as she's creeping closer to her docking point along the pier. Taking a look back on the bridge of the Mackinaw as they do some quick navigation to make sure they're clear. We have another beautiful shot of the Katmai Bay as she rolls in. Tonight, in addition to the boat tours, you'll be able to check out a Beatles tribute band playing at the amphitheater overlooking the musical fountain in Grand Haven. It's the Cavaliers, hosted by 13 on Your Side's Josh Albertus. Show will start tonight at 7:30. Always fun to check those out. Beautiful weather all week long. 80s, from low 80s to mid 80s, pretty much the entire week. Only one day where it's high 80s. Rest of that, only one day with even a possible chance of showers. The rest of the day is just beautiful, mostly sunny or partly sunny. Get out and check out the Coast Guard Festival this week. You'll have perfect weather to do so. Katmai Bay will join the Bristol Bay there, docked along the pier. If we take a look at the snug harbor cam, you can see it coming in right behind the big flag. That is the Bristol Bay. Right behind it, the Katmai Bay is coming in right behind it. And then way off in the distance is the Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw. Taking a look again at the docked Bristol Bay. Onlookers waving at the ships right now. '99th Coast Guard Festival in Grand Haven. Here comes the Katmai Bay to dock right behind the Bristol Bay. Both ships, built and commissioned in the late 1970s, have been serving on the Great Lakes for decades. Let's take a look again from the bridge, the Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw. Very large ship. Now if we look back at the channel, it's a live shot from the VFW in Grand Haven. The Katmai Bay is docking just behind the Bristol Bay. Touring begins on these ships tonight. You can get all that information through 13onyourside.com or coastguardfest.org. Tonight the ships are available to tour for free from 6 until 8, same time tomorrow as well. It's free all week, Wednesday through the weekend. The tours will last from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. Take another quick look at the pier from the bridge of the Mackinaw. Talking a little bit about the Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw, has quite the legacy. She is a heavy icebreaker, the only one on the Great Lakes. 240 feet long, 58.5 feet wide, displaces 3,500 tons. Her home port is Sheboygan. She was launched on April 2nd, 2005, commissioned on June 10th, 2006. And actually, on her voyage from Sheboygan to Grand Haven, she struck a seawall December 12th of 2005, put a 10-foot dent in the side of her, but she was able to recover and arrived on schedule December 17th, 2005, ahead of her commission date. Let's take another look here, the Katmai Bay, as she pulls into her final docking point for this afternoon, behind the Bristol Bay. Overlooking the channel here in Grand Haven for the Coast Guard Festival Parade of Ships. And I think we can finally see her off in the distance. There she is. The heavy icebreaker, only one on the Great Lakes. She's named after her predecessor, the Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw, who was originally built during World War II, commissioned on December 20th, 1944. She was home ported in Sheboygan as well. The original Mackinaw provided over 60 years of outstanding service to communities and commercial enterprises of the Great Lakes. She had to be retired in 2006 due to her age. It was very expensive and difficult to maintain. We can take a look here from her bridge as she sails down the channel. Another shot of her as she's coming in, onlookers. This is the pride of the parade of ships. She's the big one. She's the one that everyone loves to see. The original, like I said, was decommissioned in June 2006, and this one took over, also named U.S. Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw. She was actually featured on an episode of Modern Marvels as well. A very technologically advanced ship. She's actually armed with 2 medium-sized machine guns and various small arms for law enforcement duty. Was commissioned almost immediately after the original Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw was decommissioned. She's the final ship of the Coast Guard Festival Parade of Ships. Take a look inside of her bridge right now. You can see some of her crew waving at onlookers. It's always a highlight for festival goers. See this massive ship coming down the channel. Take a look again from shore here as she gets a little bit further down the channel. This is the 99th Coast Guard Festival here in Grand Haven. First one unofficially began in 1924 as part of a Coast Guard personnel-only picnic. It includes some rowing competitions from the service members stationed here in Grand Haven. Then 99 years later, the festival now hosts over 350,000 people each year. Come down for the Parade of Ships and all the other festivities on the 10-day festival, which runs now until the end of the weekend. All of these ships are available to tour, completely free as well. They're going to dock here in Grand Haven and be available for the remainder of the Coast Guard Festival. You can check them out tonight between 6 and 8 p.m., as well as tomorrow between 6 and 8 p.m. Then the rest of the week, or rest of the festival, the free tours are available between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. Take a look again at the bridge of the Mackinaw. Not the easiest thing to navigate this ship down the channel. She has a stopping distance of around 1,000 feet, so can't stop on a dime there. Get a better shot of her now as she's getting a little bit further down the channel. And then we have a look at both the Bristol Bay. It's the first ship there. The second ship behind her is the Katmai Bay. Smaller icebreakers, but still quite effective at their jobs. Those two ships, commissioned and built in the late 1970s, have been serving on the Great Lakes for decades. We take another look here at the bridge of the Mackinaw. You can listen in a little bit too.
Yeah, she went back to the weather deck. She can yell at him from back there.
As you can hear on there, everyone's having a good time as they roll down the channel here in Grand Haven. Here's another look from the bridge. All the onlookers welcoming her as she rolls in. Excited onlookers there. Waving flags and waving at the ship. Coast Guard motto, Semper Paratus, always ready. Just held that by her crew here. Taking a look over Snug Harbor, you can see the Mackinaw way off in the distance, and the Bristol Bay and the Katmai Bay docked along the pier. Here's a closer look at those two icebreakers. Lots of stuff to do at the Coast Guard Festival all throughout the week. You can have a complete list of everything, all the events, on our website, 13onyourside.com, or you can head over to coastguardfest.org. Today we have the Parade of Ships at 6, or not Parade of Ships, they have the ship tours at 6, from 6 until 8, as well as the Caverners, a tribute to the Beatles, tonight at the amphitheater in Grand Haven, overlooking the musical fountain. That starts at 7:30. It'll be hosted by 13 On Your Side reporter Josh Albertus. And there's concerts all throughout the rest of the week, including Country Legends tomorrow night, music from Garth Brooks, Keith Urban, and Shania Twain, hosted by 13 On Your Side meteorologist Samantha Jacks. And then Wednesday we have Trilogy Classics Live, music from Styx, Journey, Foreigner. That is going to be hosted by 13 On Your Side reporter Charlie Tinker and 13 On Your Side meteorologist Michael Behrens. Then Thursday night, Sunset Boulevard, an 80s cover band, hosted by 13 On Your Side reporter Nate Belt. And then Friday we have Face to Face, music from Billy Joel and Elton John, hosted by 13 On Your Side anchor Juliet Dragos. And Saturday, Modern Gentlemen and Fireworks, all starting at 7:30. Modern Gentlemen were Frankie Valli's background singers for the Four Seasons. That's going to be hosted by 13 On Your Side chief meteorologist George Lessons. Taking a look from the bridge of the Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw as she enters into the channel in Grand Haven. The final ship of the Parade of Ships. And she is a big one, folks. 240 feet long, 58.5 feet wide, displacing 3,500 tons. Home port of Sheboygan. She's the only heavy icebreaker on the Great Lakes. She is following in the footsteps of her predecessor, also named the Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw. Original was built during World War II, commissioned near the end of the war, and then decommissioned in 2006 when this modern marvel, and I call it that because it was actually featured on the History Channel's Modern Marvels, the current U.S. Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw, commissioned June 2006. Her main job, breaking up ice, keeping shipping channels open. Part of the reason for her size. She does that in portions of the northern portions of the Great Lakes. Keeps shipping flowing. You'll be able to tour her alongside the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Bristol Bay and the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Katmai Bay. All week long, those tours are free. Here she is from the shore, just coming into view. It's not very often you see ships of this size in the channel, although there are ships of this size that do go down the channel, just not super frequently. Let's take a look at the bridge here.
Katmai Bay, Mackinaw. We're gonna slide ahead so we're even to scope it out, and then slide back.
She can break up some pretty thick ice, nearly 3 feet thick. No problem. The original U.S. Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw is actually now permanently docked in Mackinaw City. She serves as a lakeside museum for the Coast Guard. And this beautiful ship, commissioned in 2006, took her place. Let's get a little bit of sound here from the shore. Might be able to hear some people in the background though. This shot is off the deck of the VFW in Grand Haven. They were nice enough to allow us to set up there. Thank you. We also have a camera on the bridge of the ship. Coast Guard crews always love participating in these Coast Guard Festival Parade of Ships. 99th Coast Guard Festival here in Grand Haven. Grand Haven was the first city in the United States to be named Coast Guard City, an honor bestowed by an act of Congress and signed by the President Clinton at the time. There are a total of 29 Coast Guard cities in the United States, one other in Michigan, in Traverse City, which was designated in 2010. Coast Guard cities honor the special efforts to acknowledge the professional work of the Coast Guard men and women assigned to their area. The U.S. government recognizes those cities by bestowing the honor of calling them a Coast Guard city. Take a quick look from the Snug Harbor camera. You can just see the scale of the Mackinaw compared to the two docked smaller Coast Guard ships. Nearly twice their size, an extra 100 feet. As the Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw makes its way down the Grand Haven Channel. Docking this ship is no easy feat. The ship has a stopping distance of around 1,000 feet. So it definitely takes some precision to dock it in an area like this. Looking at the bridge, we can see the crew has constant eyes on the shoreline and the dock. Getting ready for some Final adjustments here. There she is again. And lots of onlookers enjoying the beautiful weather out there in Grand Haven this afternoon for the Coast Guard Festival Parade of Ships. You can see here again once from the Snug Harbor cam the two smaller Coast Guard ships docked along the pier there, and then the much larger Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw making its way down the middle of the channel. The Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw is the largest icebreaker on the Great Lakes. We'll go back to the bridge here as they prepare to dock.
They're not quite to the front of the pilot house yet.
Okay. We're at point 1. I'm engaging auto surge. Pull out of position. I'm going to walk you forward. Get us to where we just know we need to come forward. So, we're going to change position.
Listening in a little bit to the bridge of the Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw. We have another beautiful shot over here as she passes by the VFW in Grand Haven to dock near the Coast Guard cutter Bristol Bay and the Coast Guard cutter Katmai Bay. See if we can get a close-up shot of the top deck of the Mackinaw. Listen back into the bridge. See here as she approaches the Bristol Bay and the Katmai Bay docked along the pier on the right side of your screen. Mackinaw is coming in on the left side. Beautiful day out at the Coast Guard Festival in Grand Haven today. It's going to be beautiful all week. Today, high at 81. Tonight, gonna get a little cool, low of 58, but it'll be still probably in the 60s for the Beatles tribute band, the Cavaliers, tonight, playing in downtown Grand Haven, across from the musical fountain. Starts at 7:30, hosted by 1390 side Joshua Albertus. Then all these ships are available to tour for free. You can check out these 3 ships tonight, tomorrow night, between 6 and 8 p.m. and then the rest of the week through, or the rest of the festival through the weekend from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And you're going to have beautiful weather for all of those days. Tuesday, high at 82. Wednesday, high at 85. Thursday, high at 87. Some slight chances for scattered showers and storms, but still going to be beautiful the majority of the day. Friday, just as good, high of 88, partly cloudy. Saturday, high in the low 80s as well. Perfect week for the 99th Coast Guard Festival. You're watching the parade of ships right now live as all 3 of the United States Coast Guard cutters roll into the Grand Haven Channel and dock, getting ready for those tours for the rest of the week. The Coast Guard Festival honors the men and women of the United States Coast Guard by hosting a nationally recognized festival honoring these men and women who have served. The festival unofficially began in 1924 as a Coast Guard personnel-only picnic. Had some rowing competitions for the Coast Guard service members. That eventually turned into its first festival, official festival, in 1937. Festival focuses on the honoring of the men and women of the National Coast Guard. Also, it highlights the National Coast Guard Memorial Service, who honors those who sacrifice their lives in service of their country while fulfilling their motto, Semper Paratus. That stands for always ready. That is the Coast Guard motto. Grand Haven was honored to be the first Coast Guard City, USA, designated by an act of Congress on November 13th, 1998. That act of Congress was signed by President Bill Clinton, and Grand Haven became the first Coast Guard city. Since then, 28 other cities have been honored with that designation, including Traverse City, which was honored in 2010. The cities are honored specifically because they take special efforts to acknowledge the professional work of the Coast Guard men and women assigned to their area. As you can see there, the Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw slowly inching her way closer to where she's going to eventually dock. You can take a quick look at the bridge of the Mackinaw. Coast Guard Festival Parade of Ships is always a highlight for Grand Haven residents, as well as the estimated 350,000 other people who come and visit the area through the 10-day event. Apparently, we have a little bit of a slowdown because a barge was making its way through the channel as well.
What boat is that?
So, Coast Guard cutter Mackinaw is having a little bit of delay in her docking. See if we can get a look to see if we can notice that barge. A shot from the roof of Snug Harbor restaurant in Grand Haven, right along the channel. Once again, a beautiful day for the 99th Coast Guard Festival in Grand Haven. We're going to sign off here in just a little bit, but before we do, I just wanted to run down some of the concerts that'll be at the Coast Guard Festival now through the end of the week. 13 On Your Side staff will be hosting each of the shows. Tonight, we're going to have the Cavineers, a Beatles tribute band hosted by Joshua Albertus. Starts at 7:30, tickets $15. Tomorrow night, Country Legends. You'll hear music from Garth Brooks, Keith Urban, and Shania Twain. That's hosted by 13 On Your Side meteorologist Samantha Jacks. That also starts at 7:30, $15 per ticket. Wednesday, Trilogy Classics Live. That's music from Styx, Journey, and Foreigner, hosted by 13 on Your Side reporter Charlie Tinker and 13 on Your Side meteorologist Michael Behrens. Thursday night, Sunset Boulevard, 80s cover band, hosted by Nate Belt. Friday, Face to Face, music by Billy Joel and Elton John. That's hosted by 13 on Your Side's Juliet Dragos. And Saturday, Modern Gentlemen and fireworks after the show as well. Modern Gentlemen were Frankie Valli's background singers for the Four Seasons. He handpicked them. That's going to be hosted by George Lessons. It's going to be a really cool vocal group performing the final concert of the Coast Guard Festival. And then if we look back here at the Coast Guard Cutter Bridge for the Mackinaw. There's her captain, Captain Green.
Just, someone could keep an eye on my pilot staff.
Yeah. Definitely.
Making some final adjustments here.
Just let 'em know
preparing the
we're-
dock.
we're-
There's a look at the Mackinaw, as well as the Bristol Bay and the Katmai Bay. I think that's about it, everybody. All the boats now are in the channel. We'll be docking here shortly after this barge gets out of the way of the Mackinaw. But all the ships available to tour all week long, tonight and tomorrow from 6 until 8. Those tours are completely free. The rest of the festival you can enjoy checking out all three of the ships between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. You can get all of the information about the Coast Guard Festival and all the events going on there on our website, 13onyourside.com, or at coastguardfest.org. All right. Thank you for listening. My name is Stephen Bonner. Enjoy the rest of the week, and hopefully you get some time to come check out the Coast Guard Festival.